The Los Angeles Rams should be absolutely sick. And what the heck is Puka Nacua doing? That's coming up next on Locked On Rams.
You are Locked On Rams, your daily Los Angeles Rams podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Ramily, and welcome to another episode of Locked On Rams, your daily podcast covering your Los Angeles Rams, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. We're also available over on YouTube, so if you haven't yet, do us a huge favor. Join the party, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, drop us a like, drop us a comment, podcast listeners. Write us a review or read on the show. My name is Doug McCain. I've covered LA sports for over a decade, 24/7 sports, Bleacher Report as side, the LA Sports Report. I also do NFL radio for Westwood One. Flying solo today, the People's Champ, Mr. Travis Rogers, will be back tomorrow. But on today's episode, why the Rams should be absolutely sick after watching the Seahawks win the Super Bowl. We're going to get into our off-season plan. What is going on with Puka Nacua? But first, today's episode of Locked On Rams is brought to you by FanDuel. The winter games are on, and there's no better way to follow them than with a bet on FanDuel. FanDuel, play your game. All right, so the Seahawks are Super Bowl champions, and as we've said the entire season, the NFC Championship game was going to be the de facto Super Bowl, and the Rams, unfortunately, some plays didn't go their way. You got the Xavier Smith fumble, and we know what happened. We're not going to unpack all of that. We've already done that on this show, but we were right. I'm not a big I told you so guy, but after week 16, I heard that I was making too much of that loss. That, oh, the Rams going to be fine, and they're the 5 seed, and they did this, and they've done that. I said at the time that that loss was the worst loss of the Sean McVay era in the regular season, and one of the worst losses in franchise history. And ultimately, I think it was that loss that cost the Los Angeles Rams the Super Bowl this past season. If the Rams just find a way to cover Rashid Shaheed, or Zach Charbonnet doesn't get that miracle 2-point conversion where he just put his hand on the ball, didn't even realize what he was doing. If the Rams coverage was just not atrocious, and there's just so many factors that went into that loss. If the Rams win that game, they would have had an extremely high shot of getting the 1 seed, which would have put them in a position where they would have had just to win 2 games at SoFi to get to the Super Bowl. And considering the Rams almost beat the Seahawks on the road, is there anyone out there that doesn't think that the Rams would have found a way to get the job done at SoFi Stadium? Is there anyone out there that doesn't think that the Rams, even though their defense and their secondary isn't as good as the Seahawks, wouldn't have found a way to beat the New England Patriots in the Super Bowl? That loss was catastrophic. And rather than just harp on that loss and just tell you how terrible it is and this and that, and I did tweet out that the Rams have to be absolutely sick right now watching this game, and I had over 10,000 likes. And I think a lot of that was Rams fans agreeing with me and just people in the NFL that follow this league knowing that the Rams really should be Super Bowl champions right now. And I know it's a tough pill to swallow, but I think that's the reality. This is not a slight to the Seahawks. The Seahawks were the better team. The Seahawks beat the Rams, and that's a great Super Bowl win. You got to feel good for Sam Darnold, who becomes the first USC quarterback to ever win a Super Bowl. There have been 26 USC quarterbacks drafted in the NFL draft. That's the second most all time. Darnold is the first one. So that means that in the 2018 NFL draft, all the top 10 quarterbacks selected in that draft either have won a Super Bowl or had a hot tub in their dorm. Of course, I'm talking about Josh Rosen at UCLA. But this is a Seahawks team that's going to really be around. I mean, this is a Seahawks team that really isn't going anywhere anytime soon. And the concern there is, hey, you got to really get a Super Bowl next season, because as far as the roster build for the Rams, they got to get it done. And you got John Schneider. Did he do a better job than Les Snead? I mean, I look at the Seahawks, And I look at the fact that, yes, the Rams have put themselves in a position where in 2027 they could win the Super Bowl. But if they do not, I think 10, 15, 20, 30 years from now, we're going to look back and say, what were they doing in the secondary in 2026 thinking that they were going to be able to get it done with that group? And they didn't go all in for 2026, but Les Snead has already said that with Matthew Stafford likely returning, that they are going to be back to being all in and pushing all those chips in for 2026 and 2027 for the Super Bowl. Now, the Seahawks are a team that the Rams are going to have to deal with, and they really kind of have a really nice roster where you really look at Sam Darnold. They got him for a bargain, and they really just found the pieces that they needed to build a dominant defense. I mean, I think when I look at where they're at as far as their team, they just have a really good foundation, and they have skilled position players. You got Jackson Smith and Jigba really just starting his what should be a multi-time All-Pro career at receiver. You got Kenneth Walker. He's going to be a free agent, but you have Zach Charbonnet. He'll be coming back, and look at that running back position. I think when you look at them as DeMarcus Lawrence, he's been a really good edge for them, and he's getting kind of on the older side. But really, the rest of that roster with Witherspoon and Byron Murphy, and you got Leonard Williams, and just a great team that's really built to contend for a couple years now. And rather than be afraid, like, oh no, what does this mean? To me, it actually gets me excited because now the Rams don't have a choice, right? Now the Rams don't have a choice because if they don't win a Super Bowl next year, that's a massive L for Sean McVay from Mike McDonald. And you wonder, has he passed Sean McVay, right? And or you look at Les Snead. If they don't win a Super Bowl, what does it mean for Les Snead? Like, the Rams like to pump up their chests and puff out their chests like they're the smartest guys in the room. And right now, they don't even look like the smartest guys in their own division, okay? And I know that if you don't want the true 100% truth bomb about the Rams right now, this might be a little bit of a sensitive topic, but I hope you watch this show because this isn't the Rams Homer show, okay? Like, this is the Rams show that's really trying to be critical about this team, knowing that we love this team more than anyone, right? That we want this team to have success, and it stings a lot today. But the truth is, as painful as it was to watch that game yesterday, there's also a major sense of optimism knowing that the Rams are in a really great position where you got the 8th most cap space heading into the offseason, but you have $40.8 million around that number now. That can go up to around $75 million. We're going to kind of break down how that works. You also have 2 first-round draft picks. I, for one, would like to see one of those draft picks go to a skilled player just because you look at Emmanuel Forbes, and we're going to talk about the cornerback position. There are no guarantees at that cornerback spot. I just don't think the Rams are in a position to, even if it was the number 1 pick at cornerback, to try to play the what-if game. They need some proven commodities in the secondary if you want to give yourself the best chance next season, and we know what the weaknesses are. But the good news about all of this is Matthew Stafford is back. We know that. And we'll see what the Seahawks do. Will they extend Sam Darnold? Will that be a mistake? Are they going to lose Clint Kubiak to the Raiders? They are. And we'll see. Will that new offensive coordinator run them into the ground? I personally, objectively, think that McDonald is a special coach. I think Mike McDonald is going to have the Seahawks as a force to be reckoned with, and the Rams are going to have to deal with them defensively. But look, this is the rising tide lifts all boats, and it's time for the Rams to get that boat up and past the Seahawks and put this roster in the best position to win a championship and win a Super Bowl at their home stadium, just like they did in 2021. And that is where the Super Bowl is in 2027. It's going to be at SoFi Stadium, and the work really has already started. And we're going to get into what that means. But the number one thing about yesterday was, hey, this is a sick feeling because a lot of times it's sour grapes. A lot of times it's just like, oh, we would have beat that team, this, that. I think we can all say that we would have felt really good about our chance against the Patriots, and they were so close to beating the Seahawks 3 games this year. The Seahawks were also close to beating the Rams all 3 games this year. And I think the number one takeaway is that the gap between the Seahawks, Rams, and the rest of the league was a very wide gap. And that the NFC Championship game featured the 2 best teams in the National Football League last season. But coming up next, what is going on with Puka Nacua? And should we be concerned at this point? Because he's a little bit off the rails. That's coming up next on Locked On Rams. The winter games are officially here, and if you're anything like us, you're locking in for events you only get to see on the biggest stage every 4 years. And that's why following the winter games on FanDuel just makes sense. From medal counts to individual events to finding your angle on the sports you care about most, FanDuel gives you more ways to stay connected to the action. The drama of curling matches that start slow and somehow gets intense fast. Speed skating races decided by inches. Hockey games that feel different right from the opening face-off. Even niche events become must-watch when you're fully locked into the competition. FanDuel keeps the entire Olympic experience engaging from start to finish. The Winter Games are on, and there's no better way to follow them than with FanDuel. FanDuel, play your game. And we are off and running here on Locked On Rams. Thank you for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single weekday. Free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Locked On Rams, part of Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Also a big shout out to those everyday listeners out there watching and listening to every single episode of Locked On Rams. Preseason, training camp, during the season, in the offseason. You are the true Ramily. You're not just, when they're winning, we're going to listen. Oh, when they make a big sign, we're going to listen. You guys are the biggest and best Rams fans that you know. And then when they do win a Super Bowl, it's going to be more rewarding for you because you went through this entire journey, the ups and downs and everything in between. And now is the time to join the Everyday Listeners Club. Go to lockedonrams.supercast.com and become an everydayer. It's $5 a month, $50 for the entire year. You get exclusive access to ad-free podcasts wherever you get your podcasts, merch. You get exclusive content, so definitely go and join the Everydayers Club. It supports the show, supports me and Travis, and we cannot thank you enough for being a part of this group. I think my favorite thing is the Discord, where Rams can talk Rams football in a special members-only Discord, 24/7, 365. But all right, here in our second segment, we got to talk about Puka Nacua, because Puka Nacua has had some missteps this season. Has he been one of the best players in the NFL offensively? Absolutely. I mean, he's taken a leap from, maybe the top 10 receiver to there is no question that he is sitting at that table with Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson and Jackson Smith and Jigba. Maybe you can throw in CeeDee Lamb potentially, but he's at that top 5 level, and I don't think there's any doubt about it. But there's been some questionable decisions from Puka Nacua this year. And it all started back before that Week 16 game where he decided to let Aiden Ross, a controversial streamer with Neon, trying to get him into the building before the Rams' biggest game of the season. And then he does a gesture that was offensive where he had to release a statement apologizing because of a potential touchdown celebration that the streamer was hoping that he would do. So he caught a lot of controversy for that. Sean McVay was not happy about the incident. I can tell you that from sources very close to the situation. So for anyone in the comments, any fan out there that was claiming that Sean McVay didn't know or didn't care just because of what Sean McVay did say in the press conference, well, I got sports journalism, sports insider, sports analyst 101 for you. Always take what the athlete or coach says at the press conference with a grain of salt, because more than half the time that's not exactly what actually went on or how they feel. That's a PR situation that doesn't reflect how they feel. So you can't say, oh, McVay said this. McVay said that he wasn't that upset about it. McVay said he didn't know about it. Really? Come on now. Let's be adults about this. So you know that did not happen, okay? McVay was very upset about Puka Nacua being a distraction for the team. And yes, Puka was outstanding, had really his best game of the season, was dominant against the Seahawks in that game. He really was. And there's no doubting his talent level. No one's doubting that. I mean, and no one is. And in that game, he went into that Seahawks game and he ended up putting up 225 yards, 12 catches on 16 targets, had 2 touchdowns. It was the second multi-touchdown game of his career. And his season as a whole, he was incredible. But now, last night after the game, Puka Nacua, he and even before that too, I mean, he did a live stream. He was trying to go live on his Instagram live in the locker room. That's against team policy. And then yesterday, after the Seahawks won, he tweets out a crying, laughing emoji and the name Sam Darnold. So what exactly did he mean there? He hasn't explained it. It felt like a shot at Sam Darnold, maybe like, oh, Sam Darnold's winning the Super Bowl. I can't believe that. He has to explain himself at some point, but he was absolutely dragged on NFL social media, not just from fans of other teams, but by a lot of Rams fans as well, saying like, "What is this, dude? Like, why? I mean, what did Sam like? Why are you dragging Sam Darnold? Like Sam Darnold? Look, I hate the fact that the Seahawks won the Super Bowl. Like, it really I couldn't sleep last night thinking about the fact that the Seahawks had the same amount of Super Bowl titles as the Rams, but." That's just bad vibes, bro. Like, that's not what you want to do. Like what did Sam Darnold do to Puka Nacua to basically call him out like on his biggest moment and trying to take away from that big moment from Sam Darnold? Like, do they have beef? Is there something we don't know about? Because it just came off as immature. It came off as petty. It came off as childish. And bottom line, it just wasn't it. Like, it really wasn't it. And then this morning, there's a video surfacing of Puka Nacua just looked like he's absolutely drunk and obliterated, which is, look, man, these guys are going to consume adult beverages, right? They're not going to Bible study and things like that 24/7 when they're not playing and it's the off season. They're adults. They can do what they want. But I will say this. This is very Sean McVay era level Rams like. That's all I will say. And I see people out there saying, oh, he's Antonio Brown. Stop. That's ridiculous. That's not true at all. There's no Antonio Brown, this and that. But Puka Nacua just does not look buttoned up right now. Like, he just doesn't. And I don't know if it's because he's such a good player and the game maybe is coming to him easier than he used to. He's like, okay, I'm fine. I'm good. I'm a great enough player, right? Work hard, play hard, right? But this is just not what we've seen in this era of Rams football with Sean McVay. They just don't do drama. They just don't do this. You look at the Dodgers, right? Would you see Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, or Freddie Freeman, those guys doing that stuff? I mean, look at Luka Doncic since he's put on the purple and gold. You haven't seen the Luka bong rips. You haven't seen the Hookah Doncic, right? Dude got in the best shape of his life, is really kind of buttoned up off the court too, right? Have you seen LeBron James doing this kind of stuff in his absolute prime? I mean, Puka Nacua is a superstar now. I don't even think he's just a star. I think he's a superstar. He's got that kind of following. And the Rams are going to likely sign him for a contract that is going to be in the range of 156 to 160 million with $90 million guaranteed. I don't think he passes Jamar Chase's 40 plus million average annual value, which is the tops for a wide receiver. But I do think that there's a pretty decent chance now with the numbers that he's put up that he surpasses Justin Jefferson. And when you look at the kind of contracts they're going to be out there and where Puka Nacua is, I mean, if you're going to get paid like that, you're the face of your organization. You are one of the faces. After Matthew Stafford retires, he is the face of the Los Angeles Rams. I think Jared Verse is the face of the defense, but Puka Nacua is the biggest star. When you look at jersey sales, the Rams number 12 is going to be their best-selling jersey, especially when they introduce those new jerseys next season. And when you look at his career, already 4,191 receiving yards, 313 receptions, 19 touchdowns, just 3 years. He holds the NFL record for most yards per game at 95.3. He's had a very special start to his career, and Les Snead has said that they're looking for a win-win solution with Puka's contract, and he said, quote, he's evolved into one of the best. It seems like, okay, that's a pretty simple contract because it's pretty self-explanatory where you fall in the ecosystem and the hierarchy, but there's also so many variables that go into that make it more complex than it would seem on the surface level. So again, similar to a few players that we've had in the past that we've seen at that level in the ecosystem, you got to begin communication and begin working through it to come up with a win-win solution. So from their side, they're looking at the salary cap and they're looking at other guys they got to sign to new deals from that 2023 draft class. Guys like Kobe Turner and Byron Young and Steve Avila, they're eligible for extension in 2026. You got guys like Kobe Durant, Akella Witherspoon, and Tyler Higbee. They're impending free agents. Matthew Stafford is going to want to probably increase his pay. There's no world where he should be getting less money than Tua Tagovailoa and Kyler Murray. Does he want to get a pay bump to $50 million or maybe take a little less just so he could be in a better spot to win more titles? I think it would behoove him to take some less because he's already made all the money in the world. And then you got Devontae Adams, of course. He's going to be a free agent after 2026. So they've got some decisions to make. But the good news is that they're not in a position where they're in a massive, hey, we are desperate because we have to get these deals done right now when it looks at the time frame. They can let these negotiations play out through months and take it through the whole year of the 2026 season, and we'll see what they do. I mean, with Alec Jackson, Kyron Williams, they gave those deals out when they needed to, and then you paid Nate Lemon and Quinn Lake, and that was before they became free agents. So the Rams also have the franchise tag, too, that you could always use if you want to. But there's kind of less about that right now. We'll take a lot of time getting into the nitty-gritty of that. But it's more of like, dude, like Puka, like, we love you. Like, I am your biggest fan. It's just like, dog, like, what are we doing here? Like, I'm honestly, look, guys get, like, look, I mean, with cameras everywhere, you know, like, players get wasted, fine. Like, that's just a reality. But you're about to be the face of your franchise. And for me, I just don't. I'm more kind of miffed at the Sam Darnold thing. Like, what? Like, do you want that kind of like karma? Like for some reason, like Puka Nacua has gone from the most likable player in the NFL to fans from other teams. He's one of the most disliked players now. Like, you do realize that's what's happened over the course of this season, that he went from like a, hey, man, I hate the Rams, or hey, I want to beat the Rams, but man, I like Puka Nacua. A lot of people don't like him now. And it's because of his antics. And whether you think that's good or bad, that's just the reality right now. But I'm very curious to see what Sean McVay and Puka Nacua have to say about that tweet and just kind of about where Puka Nacua is, because I think he needs to mature a little bit this offseason if they're going to give him that big deal. But coming up next, continue to talk about the Rams offseason and what they have to do to get back and win the Super Bowl in 2027. That's coming up next on Locked On Rams. If you've ever hired someone who looked good on paper but wasn't the right fit, you know how important that is. When you want candidates who truly match what you're looking for, trust Indeed sponsored jobs. Hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other sites. Indeed Sponsored Jobs puts your post at the top of the page and helps you reach the right candidates faster. If I needed to hire someone for this show, I'd go straight to Indeed and be very specific about what I need. Real experience, not just a resume buzzword. Instead of struggling to get your job post seen, Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps your listing stand out and reach quality candidates faster. Sponsored Jobs boosts your post to the people who are the best match for your role, and that makes a real difference. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed are 90% more likely to report a hire than non-sponsored jobs. Say it again. Sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed are 90% more likely to report a hire than non-sponsored jobs. Spend more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with less stress, less time, and more results using Indeed sponsored jobs. Listeners of this show get a $75 sponsored job credit to help give your job the premium placement it deserves at Indeed.com/LockedOnNFL. Just go to Indeed.com/LockedOnNFL right now and support the show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast, Locked On Rams. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, do it the right way with Indeed. And welcome back to Locked On Rams. Thank you for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single weekday. Free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Locked On Rams, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Okay, so everyone's clamoring for this Week 1 matchup between the Seahawks and the Rams, but it looks like it could be the Rams and 49ers in Week 1 in Australia. There's a 19-hour time difference from California to Melbourne. And NFL Executive Vice President of Media Distributions, Hans Schroeder, said the game will likely be played Wednesday or Thursday night of opening week. Playing early in Week 1 will give the 49ers and Rams extra days on the front end to compensate for the trip's 16-hour flight and Australia's 19-hour time difference from the U.S. Pacific time zone. Roger Goodell said last year that the NFL is starting the season off there. So that's really interesting. And right now, the Super Bowl champion Seahawks probably going to take on a team other than the Rams. So they're going to face them twice next year, but it's not going to be in Week 1. But that's pretty interesting. I like the fact they're going to get it done early. I really do. I like the fact that they're going to get it done early and that they're not going to have to wait and you don't have to have that during the season. That could have been a nightmare. And playing the 49ers early too, getting a win against them, I think it would be really huge. And I think it'd be pretty massive when you look at that. But yeah, by the way, Puka Nacua, I'm pretty sure he's happy about Cooper Kupp. We're going to talk about that tomorrow, like Cooper Kupp and kind of him getting that. Wow. Think about that. Cooper Kupp ended up getting that big catch that essentially ended the Rams season, and then he gets a Super Bowl for a team where he's from Washington. So, yeah, I'm actually happy for Cooper Kupp. I hate the fact that he went for the Seahawks, but happy for the player, man. That dude, he showed his mettle, man. Like, I guarantee he used that fuel. The Rams basically saying, hey, man, like, we don't want you at that price. And he definitely went out there, and there's no doubt about it that Cooper Kupp helped the Seahawks win a Super Bowl in that first half. He was making some catches. And, yeah, also Drake May, for anyone out there that voted for him over Stafford for the MVP, you should be ashamed of yourself, because in no world, even though it's a regular season award, there is no world where Drake May deserved MVP over Matthew Stafford. I think someone voted for Justin Herbert too, which is just a flat-out embarrassment. But that's going to do it for this episode of Locked On Rams. My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. And until next time, whose house? It's Locked On Rams house.